May 2nd, I went to check out the water treatment plant in Albertville. It's challenging getting there because they have the road closed for building a new Costco. Like usual, the spotted sandpiper was teetering along the rocks. For comparison, this solitary sandpiper I found at the Crowhasson has a bold eye ring and a calmer, darker appearance. I guess it also has longer legs, but I would need them side by side to tell. I don't think you need the greater and lesser scalp side by side to distinguish them. The greater has a more rounded head with green glossed black feathers, while the lesser is purple glossed and much more blocky. Only 10% of scalp in the US are greater, but this guy was hanging out at the water treatment plant. Over at Pelican Lake, I was watching this coot swim through the cattails when I heard and then seen a Sora rail. I think they are pretty common to hear, but less common to see. However, I have had them come out in the open for me several times, so I don't think they're as secretive as most people think. So much for the saying, they were Sora afraid. The bright yellow bill makes them easy to spot. Their green legs blend into the vegetation, but like the green heron, their long toes let them walk on some floating stuff that couldn't hold many birds. They are probably nesting now. They mainly eat seeds through the year, but when they start feeding the nestlings, they'll be looking for all protein. Pelican Lake was busy with lots of waterfowl, but there were also gulls and terns. A Caspian tern flew overhead. They are the world's largest tern, and you can distinguish them from the Forsters by their more reddish-orange bill with only a small black tip. Their tail is only slightly forked, where other terns have a more deeply forked tail. An immature bald eagle was also busy fishing. Along the shore, the main warbler present was the palm warbler. They are either on the ground or low in the trees and shrubby areas. They moved through in early May on their way to Canada. If you see a warbler in the first weeks of May, it's a 90% chance it's a yellow rump warbler or a palm warbler. Crowhasson Park each spring, they do controlled burns of the grasslands to keep brush from taking over the prairie and help native plants and wildflowers grow better. Bluebirds use almost all the nest boxes and seem like they have an easier time finding food in the just burnt areas. This spring has been windy, so the bluebirds benefit from their incredible head stabilization skills. While this stalk of grass swayed, this bluebird was able to lock its vision on a worm 20 yards away, which it grabbed for an afternoon snack. Orange-crowned warblers are kind of nondescript, but during migration I will find them climbing around flowering trees. They're usually looking for the tiny insects these trees attract, but sometimes they will sip nectar from the flowers. Their bright yellow undertail helps distinguish them from the equally drab Tennessee warbler. I finished the evening by checking out a pond in the center of the prairie. There were greater and lesser yellowlegs working the shallows. You really do need these birds side by side to determine greater or lesser. But the greater, which is larger overall, does have a longer, thicker, more upturned bill. You can see how deep these long-legged birds can wade. Usually, lesser yellowlegs travel in bigger groups and are more common overall. They're pretty active hunters, giving them a more fidgety demeanor. Meanwhile, the blue-winged teal drakes were busy chasing each other around, and the yellow-headed blackbirds were making their grating conqueree call. The next weekend, I headed to a park in Eden Prairie to see a yellow-crowned night heron that had first appeared in a pond near the Home Depot. We sometimes get black-crowned night herons, but I'm pretty sure there hasn't been a yellow-crowned night heron anywhere near us for several years. They are crab and crayfish specialists. As the name suggests, they mainly stalk them at night and can break them apart with their heavy, strong bill. We saw plenty doing this when we were in New Orleans. These herons can live comfortably around people, and Minnesota ponds have a good amount of crayfish. Sometimes young birds of all species overshoot during migration. Considering that we have had many strong north winds, this was probably a very confused bird. Like someone lost in the woods who just keeps pushing further in the wrong direction because they think they're almost there. He made it through Iowa and southern Minnesota before giving up at a familiar-looking Home Depot. Later that day, I tried looking for warblers, but as I often do, I ended up photographing a mallard. I ranked the migrating warblers based on how exciting they are. A prothonotary would be a 10, with the very common palm and yellow rumped, like a 2. Orange crown in Tennessee come in at about a 3, and just ahead of them, at a 4, is the slightly cleaner looking Nashville warbler, which has a white eye ring. On Saturday, I also counted at least 5 Swainson's thrushes and 1 hermit thrush on the forest floor. On Sunday, Lucas and I visited the Sherburne Refuge Wildlife Drive. We noticed ringneck ducks and a common loon all busy diving. And we spotted a family of geese. This is the weekend of the year where I always see my first goslings. It's normal to see geese with only 2 babies, but 4 to 7 is probably more common. I would imagine having so many nights in May below freezing has affected the survival rate of some of these clutches. But I'm not too concerned about the geese population. I was mainly concerned with another nesting family nearby. Someone had noticed a baby saw-whet poking its head out of the pileated woodpecker cavity right along the drive. It's hard to express how rare and special a find this is. Northern saw-whet owls migrate through southern Minnesota and will have winter perches in the metro area, especially in November and February. But confirmed nesting is rare. I would imagine most birders never see a baby saw-whet in their lifetime. There are most likely 3 babies in this nest, and they probably take turns exploring the outside world. Think someone's seen 2 heads near the hole at the same time. Can you imagine what it looks like when the adult sneaks through that woodpecker hole? But wood ducks do the same thing. The owls are probably very close to fledging at this point, as they are about the size of a pop can. Another birder said that the male is close by and will continue to feed the babies at night even after they fledge. Apparently the female is long gone, as her work is done. One thing I noticed was this guy really liked to turn his face towards any unusual sounds, as he was learning the skill of using his facial disc to collect sounds and locate things. The babies do not give cute vibes. They kind of look old and wise, and not too much like the parents. But if you look closely, you can already see the feathers of the brown and white facial disc, the streaked chest, and yellow eyes. Here you can compare to an adult we saw last November. I've read that they prefer the smaller northern flicker cavity, but I think this one was made by a pileated. There's actually quite a bit of room inside when they first hatch, but I'm sure that things get kind of crowded when they're close to fledging and trying to stretch out their wings. You can see this guy basically flies back down the hole. After leaving the Sowets, we did a short walk where we found a least flycatcher and a towhee. You know what this bird is? It's a female brown-headed cowbird. And here is the white-crowned sparrow. This is also the time of the year that many sparrows pass through. While I was looking for a more rare rarest sparrow passing through, there is something satisfying about the white-crowned sparrow in golden hour lighting. Many of the videos in this episode make it look like it's snowing, but that's probably just pollen from the cottonwood trees or maybe some gnats buzzing at the Crow River. It has been cold, but no May snows. I'll leave you with some mourning doves dust bathing at sunset. Thanks for coming along with us, and we'll see you in the next episode.